had 3 seconds to decide where to hide before my ex saw me, and I chose the worst possible place. Between the legs of a man who could probably kill me faster than Michael ever could. But Michael's voice was already cutting through the restaurant, and my body made the choice my brain couldn't. Drop. My knees hit the floor hard enough to bruise. My hands found expensive fabric, muscular thighs, the kind of solid warmth that meant safety even when it shouldn't. I pressed myself into the shadows under the tablecloth, my heart slamming against my ribs so hard I tasted copper. "Please don't move," I whispered up at the stranger whose legs I was clutching like a lifeline. "Please. I'm begging you." The legs went absolutely still. Above me a voice spoke. Low, accented. The kind of voice that didn't need to rise to be heard. Interesting. Not alarmed. Not angry. Just curious. Michael's boots thundered closer. I knew those footsteps the way prey knows the sound of a predator. 6 months of dating. 3 months of running. 1 night of watching him kick down my apartment door with a smile on his face. "Where is she?" Michael's voice boomed. "Dark hair, blue jacket, I saw her run in here." "Where the hell is Emily?" My fingers dug harder into the stranger's thighs. I was shaking so badly I had to be moving the whole table, but I couldn't stop. Couldn't breathe. Couldn't think past the memory of Michael's face 2 hours ago when he'd whispered what he'd do to me for leaving him. The man above me said something in another language. Russian my brain supplied uselessly. 2 other voices responded, also male, also cold enough to frost glass. Then the stranger spoke again, but this time in English, and his voice carried the kind of quiet that made loud men shut up. "You are interrupting my dinner." "I'm looking for my girlfriend," Michael said, but I heard the hesitation creeping into his tone. Michael only hesitated when he recognized he'd miscalculated. "She just ran in here. You had to have seen her." "I see many things." Pause, deliberate and dangerous. "Right now, I see a man with 10 seconds to leave before he becomes a problem I solve permanently." The temperature in the room seemed to drop. I held my breath, pressed against this stranger's legs, my cheek accidentally brushing against his knee, and waited for Michael to do what Michael always did. Escalate until someone bled. But he didn't. His boots retreated. Quickly. The door opened and closed. Silence. I still couldn't move. My entire body was locked in terror mode, every muscle coiled tight, waiting for the trap to spring. "He's gone," the stranger said, and I felt him shift slightly above me. "You can come out now." "Are you sure?" My voice cracked. "He might be waiting outside. He always waits. He's patient when he wants to hurt me." Another pause. Then, "Look at me." Slowly I tilted my head back. The first thing I saw were his eyes looking down at me through the gap between the table edge and tablecloth. Gray. The gray of gunmetal and winter storms. They studied me with an intensity that should have terrified me but somehow didn't. "Hey there, my wonderful friend. How's your day going? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this story so far. Drop a comment and tell me where you're watching from." "If he waits," the stranger said quietly, "I will handle it. But you cannot stay under my table all evening, though I admit the view is growing on me." Heat flooded my face. God. I was literally between a strange man's legs in the middle of a restaurant, clutching his thighs like we were intimate, and I just now processed how this looked. "I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to. I just saw your table and panicked and—" "Come here." He pushed his chair back slightly and extended his hand down to me. "Come up." An offer, not an order. I stared at that hand. Strong. Scarred knuckles. A watch that probably cost more than my entire yearly salary. This was insane. I didn't know this man. Didn't know why he'd helped me. Didn't know what he'd want in return because men like him, men with voices like that and tables and corners where they could watch everything, men who made Michael run with just words. They always wanted something in return. But Michael was outside. And this stranger's hand was steady. Took it. His fingers closed around mine, and the moment our skin touched, something shifted in his expression. His eyes widened just slightly, like I'd surprised him, like he'd felt it too, that strange electric pull. He lifted me out from under the table with one smooth motion, his strength casual and absolute, and guided me into the seat across from him. Only then did I see the full picture. The stranger was younger than his voice suggested, maybe 32 or 33, with dark hair and a face that belonged on magazine covers, if magazine covers featured men who looked like they knew 100 ways to kill you. He wore all black, no tie. The kind of expensive simplicity that screamed power. The two men flanking him were built like enforcers. One had a scar running through his eyebrow. The other had the dead eyes of someone who'd seen too much and felt too little. I'd just thrown myself at the mercy of men who radiated danger like heat. "I'm Emily," I said, because my mother raised me to have manners even during complete mental breakdowns. "Emily Dawson. I'm so sorry, I didn't know what else to do." "Nikolai." He didn't offer a last name. Didn't look away from my face. "Tell me, Emily Dawson, how long has he been hunting you?" "Hunting. Not bothering. Not harassing. Hunting." The accuracy of that word made my throat tight. 3 months since I left him. 6 months before that trying to leave. I wrapped my arms around myself, suddenly aware I was soaked from the rain, shivering. Tonight he found my new apartment. Kicked in the door. I barely got out. Something dark moved behind Nikolai's eyes. He said something in Russian to the man with the scar, who immediately pulled out a phone and walked away. "What did you tell him?" I asked. "To send someone to your apartment." Nikolai poured wine into a glass and slid it across to me. Our fingers brushed as I took it, and again I saw that flicker in his expression. "You'll need your things. Tell me the address." "I can't ask you to." "You didn't ask. I offered." He leaned back, studying me like I was a puzzle he couldn't quite solve. "And I very rarely offer anything." I gave him my address because I was too tired to argue, too scared to go back myself, and too desperate to question why a complete stranger was helping me. He relayed it to his associate in Russian, then turned back to me. "You cannot return there tonight. Or any night until this situation is resolved." "Resolved how?" "That depends." Nikolai tilted his head slightly. "How permanent would you like the resolution to be?" The way he said it, calm and casual like he was offering me a choice of wine, made my stomach flip. "I just want him to leave me alone," I whispered. "I want to stop running. Stop being afraid every time I hear footsteps behind me or see a car that looks like his. I want my life back." Nikolai's eyes held mine for a long moment. Then he did something I didn't expect. He smiled. It wasn't a kind smile. It was the smile of a man who just made a decision that would change everything. "Then you'll stay with me." "What?" "You need protection. I have the means to provide it." He said it like it was the simplest thing in the world. "Stay in my home until your ex is no longer a threat. In exchange you continue living your life. Working. Existing. But under my watch." "Why would you do that? You don't even know me." "No," he agreed. "But I know men like him. And I know women who run." Something painful flickered across his face, there and gone. "I also know what happens when they run alone." There was a story there. A wound. But before I could ask, his phone buzzed. He glanced at it, and his expression hardened. "Your ex is in his car across the street. Watching the entrance." Ice ran down my spine. "He'll wait all night," I said numbly. "He has before." Nikolai stood in one fluid motion and extended his hand again. "Then we leave through the back. My car is waiting. I can't just go home with a stranger. That's insane. More insane than hiding between my legs 10 minutes ago." That almost smile again. "You've already trusted me with your safety once, Emily. Trust me once more." I looked at his hand. At his storm-gray eyes. At the two dangerous men flanking him who clearly followed his orders without question. Every rational part of my brain screamed that this was a terrible idea. But Michael was outside. My door was broken. I had nowhere else to go and $300 to my name. And something about Nikolai, Something in the way he'd protected me without hesitation, in the way he looked at me like I mattered, made me want to trust him even when I shouldn't. I put my hand in his. His fingers closed around mine, warm and certain, and I felt that pull again. Stronger this time. Okay, I whispered. Nikolai's eyes darkened with something I couldn't name. Okay, he repeated softly. He kept holding my hand as he led me toward the back of the restaurant. His grip gentle but unbreakable, and I realized with a strange clarity that I'd just made a choice I couldn't take back. I'd run from one dangerous man straight into the arms of another. The difference was, this one made me feel safe. God help me. The car was exactly what I should have expected. Black, sleek, and so expensive I was afraid to breathe on the leather seats. Nikolai slid in beside me, close enough that I could smell his cologne. Something dark and woodsy that probably cost more than my rent. The man with the scar took the driver's seat. The other one followed in a second car behind us. As we pulled away from the restaurant, I caught a glimpse of Michael's beat-up sedan parked across the street. He was inside, his face illuminated by his phone screen, waiting like a spider in a web. We drove right past him. He never looked up. He didn't see us, I whispered, something like relief flooding through me. He saw what I wanted him to see, Nikolai said. A service vehicle leaving through the back. Nothing worth his attention. I turned to look at him. You planned that. The exit route. Everything. I plan everything, Emily. He met my eyes. It's how I stay alive. The weight of that statement settled over me. Stay alive. Like it was a daily concern. Like death was a regular possibility in his world. What do you do? He asked. For work, I mean. His lips curved slightly. I manage certain business interests. Import-export. Distribution networks. It was the vaguest answer I'd ever heard, and somehow that told me everything. That's not a real answer, I said quietly. No, he agreed. It's not. We stared at each other in the dim light of the passing street lamps. I should have been terrified. Should have demanded he let me out of the car. But something in his honesty, in his refusal to lie even when a lie would be easier, made me trust him more, not less. Are you going to hurt me? He asked. No. No hesitation. Absolute certainty. Never. Why not? His eyes darkened. Because I know what it looks like when someone breaks a woman piece by piece. And I would burn the world down before becoming that man. There it was again. That wound. That story behind his eyes. Before I could push further, the car turned into a gated driveway. The gates opened automatically, and we drove up a long, tree-lined path to a house that made me forget how to breathe. It wasn't a house. It was an estate. 3 stories of stone and glass, lit from within like something out of a dream. Or a nightmare depending on who owned it. You live here. Asked stupidly. I exist here. Nikolai corrected. Living is something different. The car stopped at the front entrance. The driver opened Nikolai's door, and Nikolai stepped out, then turned and offered me his hand for the 3rd time tonight. I was starting to recognize the gesture as something habitual for him. Old-fashioned. Deliberate. I took it because I was also starting to crave the steadiness of his grip. He led me up marble steps and through doors that probably weighed more than me. Inside was just as breathtaking. High ceilings. Art that looked museum quality. Furniture that whispered old money and older power. A woman appeared from a side hallway. Older, maybe 60, with sharp eyes and gray hair pulled into a neat bun. She took one look at me, soaking wet and shivering, and her expression softened immediately. Nikolai, she said with a thick Russian accent. What have you brought home now? A guest, Katya. Nikolai's voice warmed in a way I hadn't heard before. Emily Dawson, meet Katya Volkov. She runs my household and my life, though she'll deny the second part. I do not deny truth, Katya said, but her eyes twinkled. Then she focused on me, and her expression shifted to concern. You are wet and cold. Come, we fix this. She moved toward me with the efficiency of a general commanding troops, But Nikolai's voice stopped her. Katya. She stays in the East Wing. The Blue Room. Something passed between them. Katya's eyebrows rose slightly. The Blue Room, she repeated. You are certain? Yes. Another weighted pause. Then Katya nodded and turned to me with a gentle smile. This way, dear child. We get you warm and fed, yes. I looked back at Nikolai. He was watching me with that same intense focus, like I was something rare he couldn't quite categorize. Go, he said softly. Katya will take care of you. I have calls to make. About what? His smile was razor-sharp. Your ex-boyfriend. By morning, he will no longer be a problem. The casual way he said it sent ice and heat through me simultaneously. What are you going to do to him? Nothing he hasn't earned. Nikolai stepped closer, and suddenly the space between us felt charged. Do you want to know the details, Emily? Or do you want to sleep tonight without nightmares? I should have demanded answers. Should have insisted on knowing exactly what I'd agreed to by coming here. But I was so tired, so scared. And the way Nikolai was looking at me like he'd move mountains to keep me safe, made me want to just surrender to someone else's strength for once. I don't want to know, I whispered. Something like approval flickered in his eyes. Smart girl. He reached out and tucked a strand of wet hair behind my ear, his fingers lingering against my cheek for just a moment. Sleep well, Emily Dawson. Tomorrow we discuss the terms of your stay. Then he turned and walked away, pulling out his phone, switching back to Russian as he disappeared down a hallway. Katya watched him go, then looked at me with an expression I couldn't read. Come, she said again, gentler this time. The Blue Room has not been opened in 3 years. This is important, what he does for you. Why hasn't it been opened? Katya's eyes grew sad. It was his wife's favorite room. He closed it after she died. The words hit me like a punch. A closed room now being opened for me. I can stay somewhere else, I said quickly. I don't want to. He chose this room for you, Katya interrupted. Nikolai chooses nothing by accident. If he opens this door, it means something. She led me up a sweeping staircase and down a long hallway. At the end, she opened a door to reveal a room that stole my breath. It was beautiful. All soft blues and creams, with windows overlooking gardens I couldn't quite see in the darkness. Massive bed. Fireplace already lit. Doors leading to what looked like a bathroom bigger than my old apartment. On the bed was a selection of clothes. My size. How? I started. Nikolai texted while we drove, Katya said. My granddaughter went shopping. She is fast. She moved to the bathroom. I draw you a bath. You soak, get warm. Then we talk, yes. Woman to woman. She disappeared into the bathroom, and I stood in the middle of that beautiful room, my wet shoes leaving marks on the pristine floor, and tried to process what had happened in the last 2 hours. I'd run from my abusive ex straight into the home of a Russian man who lived in a mansion, commanded obedience with a look, and had given me his dead wife's favorite room. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Somehow it had survived my panicked flight. 7 missed calls from Michael. 12 texts, each more threatening than the last. The most recent one, sent 5 minutes ago. I know you're still in the area. I'll find you. You can't hide forever. You're mine. My hands started shaking again. Then my phone buzzed with a new message. Unknown number. You're safe now. Leap. Tomorrow we ensure you stay that way. N. I stared at that message, at the simple confidence in those words, and felt something crack open in my chest. For 3 months, I'd been alone in my terror. Facing Michael by myself. Running by myself. Surviving by myself because I'd learned young that the only person you could really count on was yourself. But Nikolai had helped me without asking for anything in return. Had brought me to his home. Had given me his protection like it was the simplest thing in the world. Why? What did he want from me? And why did part of me not care as long as he kept looking at me the way he had in that restaurant, like I was someone worth saving? Katya emerged from the bathroom, steam billowing out behind her. The bath is ready. Get in before it cools. He paused at the door. You are wondering why he helps you, yes? He nodded. Her expression grew distant, sad. 3 years ago, Nikolai's wife was killed. He was not there to save her. Every day since, this eats at him. She met my eyes. Tonight, he saw a woman in danger. And this time he could help. This time he was not too late. So I'm what, some kind of redemption project? The bitterness in my voice surprised me. No, Katya said firmly. You are a woman who needs help, and he is a man who needs purpose beyond revenge and business. She smiled slightly. But I see how he looks at you. I worked for his family for 30 years. I know that look. This is more than guilt, dear child. This is something else beginning. She left, closing the door softly behind her. I stood there, holding my phone with Michael's threats on the screen, in a dead woman's favorite room, under the protection of a man who was either my salvation or my next nightmare. And the terrifying part. I wasn't sure which I wanted him to be. The bath had gone cold by the time I finally got out. I'd scrubbed my skin until it was raw, trying to wash away the feeling of Michael's hands on me from 6 months ago, the memory of his voice tonight, the fear that had become such a constant companion I'd forgotten what peace felt like. The clothes Katya's granddaughter had bought fit perfectly. Soft cotton pajamas that probably cost more than my entire wardrobe. I climbed into the enormous bed and expected to lie awake all night, haunted by everything that had happened. Instead, I fell asleep the moment my head hit the pillow. For the first time in 3 months, I felt safe enough to let go. I woke to sunlight streaming through gauzy curtains and the smell of coffee. For a blissful moment I forgot where I was. Then it all came rushing back. Michael. The restaurant. Nikolai's storm-gray eyes. This room that belonged to a dead woman. Soft knock on the door. Come in, I called, sitting up. Katya entered with a tray. Coffee, fresh pastries, fruit that looked like it had been arranged by an artist. Good morning, dear child. You slept well, yes? Better than I have in months, I admitted. She set the tray on the bed with a smile. Nikolai asks if you will join him for breakfast in 1 hour. He has things to discuss. My stomach tightened. About Michael. Among other things. Katya's expression grew serious. There are clothes in the closet. Take your time. But Emily, whatever he tells you today, remember he does not make offers lightly. If he gives you a choice, think carefully before answering. She left before I could ask what that meant. I ate slowly, trying to calm my nerves. Then I showered and opened the closet to find it fully stocked. Jeans in my size. Sweaters. Dresses. Shoes. Everything I might need, as if Nikolai had planned for me to stay indefinitely. The thought should have alarmed me. Instead, it made me feel something dangerously close to wanted. I chose jeans and a soft cream sweater, then made my way downstairs, following the sound of voices speaking Russian. I found Nikolai in a room that was clearly his office. Floor-to-ceiling bookshelves. Massive desk. Windows overlooking the gardens I'd seen hints of last night. He stood with his back to me, phone to his ear, speaking in rapid Russian. He'd changed from last night's black into charcoal slacks and a white shirt with the sleeves rolled up, revealing forearms that shouldn't have been as attractive as they were. Then he turned and saw me, and something shifted in his expression. The hard edges softened just slightly. He said something into the phone and ended the call. Emily. Good morning. He crossed to me, and I was struck again by how he moved. Like a predator. Graceful and dangerous. You slept. Yes, thank you. For everything. The room, the clothes, I don't know how I can. You can stop thanking me, he interrupted gently. What I did last night required no payment, no gratitude. Just basic human decency. Most people's basic human decency doesn't include designer clothes and guest rooms. His lips quirked. I'm not most people. I'm starting to realize that. We stood there, and the air between us felt charged again. Like last night in the car. Like every time we'd touched. He cleared his throat and gestured to a small table by the windows where breakfast was laid out. Sit. We need to talk. The serious tone made my stomach drop. I sat, and he poured me more coffee before settling across from me. I had my people look into your ex-boyfriend last night, Nikolai said without preamble. Michael Hartley, 29, works construction, has a record, 2 prior domestic violence arrests, both charges dropped when the women refused to testify. Hearing it laid out like that made it real in a way it hadn't been before. I wasn't the first, I whispered. No. And you wouldn't have been the last. Nikolai's eyes were hard. He escalates, Emily. Pattern is clear. Each relationship the violence gets worse. Faster. What are you saying? I'm saying if you had stayed or if he had caught you last night, you would have ended up in a hospital. Or a morgue. The bluntness of it stole my breath. He broke into your apartment at 9:47 last night, Nikolai continued. My people were already there, collecting your belongings. They intercepted him. What did they do? They had a conversation about boundaries and consequences. He was escorted off the property with a clear understanding that returning would be inadvisable for his health. I should have been horrified. Should have questioned what kind of conversation left a man like Michael intimidated enough to back down. But all I felt was relief. So it's over? Asked hopefully. He'll leave me alone now. Nikolai's expression darkened. I thought so. Until an hour ago. He pulled out his phone and set it on the table, turning it toward me. On the screen was a photo that made my blood run cold. My best friend Sarah. Walking to her car. The photo taken from a distance, clearly without her knowledge. He sent this to your phone 20 minutes ago, Nikolai said quietly. Along with a message. He swiped to show me the text from Michael's number. Tell your new boyfriend he can't watch you and your friends. Come back to me by tonight or Sarah pays for your mistake. The coffee turned to acid in my stomach. No, I whispered. No, he can't. Sarah has nothing to do with this. Men like Michael don't care about logic. They care about control. Nikolai leaned forward. He's escalating because you found protection. Now he's going for leverage. I have to call her. Warn her. Already done. She's being collected as we speak. I stared at him. What? I sent a team to her location 15 minutes ago. They'll explain the situation and bring her somewhere safe. Somewhere Michael can't find her. You can't just kidnap my best friend. I'm not kidnapping her. I'm protecting her. There's a difference. His voice was calm, reasonable. Would you prefer I left her vulnerable while Michael circles closer? I wanted to argue, but he was right. Michael had already shown he'd go after people I loved. Sarah didn't know how to handle men like him. She'd tried to reason with him, and Michael didn't understand reason. My phone buzzed. A text from Sarah. What the hell is going on? There are very large Russian men at my door saying you sent them. Call me now. I looked at Nikolai helplessly. What do I tell her? The truth. That you're in danger and by extension so is she. That I'm offering protection until the threat is neutralized. Neutralized, I repeated. You keep using words like that. What does it actually mean? Nikolai stood and moved to the window, his back to me. It means I give Michael a choice. He can leave you alone and disappear from your life completely. Or he can continue this hunt, and I will ensure he regrets that decision in ways that will haunt his nightmares. You're talking about hurting him. I'm talking about stopping him. Permanently if necessary. He turned to face me, and his eyes were cold steel. I've seen this story before, Emily. Men like Michael don't stop until someone makes them stop. The question is whether you want that someone to be me, or whether you want to wait until you're at his mercy again. I thought about Michael's face when he kicked in my door. The way he'd smiled. The texts he'd sent, each one more possessive and threatening. I thought about Sarah, innocent in all this, now in danger because I'd dared to leave. I don't want anyone hurt, I said quietly. Not even Michael. I just want this to be over. Then stay here. Under my protection. Let me handle Michael my way. Nikolai moved closer, crouching down so we were eye level. I'm offering you something precious, Emily. Freedom from fear. But it comes with a price. What price? You trust me completely. You follow my rules for your safety. You don't leave this property without my people accompanying you. You let me into your life fully until this threat is eliminated. His eyes searched mine. And you accept that the methods I use to protect you may not be methods you'd choose yourself. You're asking me to let you do terrible things on my behalf and not question it. I'm asking you to let me keep you alive. He reached out slowly, giving me time to pull away, and took my hand. I know this is not ideal. I know you don't want to be dependent on a stranger. But Michael made this chess game, not you. Now you need to decide if you want to play it alone, or if you want a partner who knows how to win. His thumb traced circles on my palm, and I felt that pull again. That gravity. Why are you doing this? Yes. Really? It can't just be guilt over your wife. Something painful flickered across his face. You're right. It's not just that. He paused, seeming to choose his words carefully. When I saw you under my table last night, terrified and desperate, something in me recognized something in you. We're both running from ghosts, Emily. Mine are just further in the past. What ghosts? The ghost of a man I used to be. Before I built all this. He gestured at the room, the estate beyond. I came from nothing. Fought my way up through blood and violence. Made myself into someone powerful enough that no one could hurt me again. But power doesn't heal old wounds. It just builds walls around them. And I'm what? A crack in your walls. His smile was sad. You're the first thing in 3 years that's made me feel something other than empty. The honesty of it hit me square in the chest. My phone buzzed again. Michael this time. 6 p.m. deadline, Emily. You or Sarah. Choose. Nikolai saw my face change and took the phone gently from my hand. He read the message, and his jaw tightened. He's forcing your hand, Nikolai said quietly. Trying to make you panic. Make you sloppy. It's working. Then let me make this simple. Nikolai set down my phone and took both my hands in his. Stay with me. Let me protect you and Sarah. Let me end this. In return, I ask only that you trust me and follow the security protocols I set. For how long? Until Michael is no longer a threat. Weeks. However long it takes. And then you're free to go. Back to your life. Your apartment. Your independence. I won't hold you here against your will. His eyes darkened. Though I hope by then you might choose to stay anyway. The implication hung in the air between us. This wasn't just about protection anymore. Maybe it never had been. This is insane, I whispered. I don't even know you. No. But you trusted your instincts last night when you hid at my table. Trust them again now. He squeezed my hands gently. I won't let him hurt you, Emily. Or anyone you love. But I need your consent to do what's necessary. I looked at our joined hands. At his face so beautiful and dangerous. At the conviction in his eyes. I thought about Michael's deadline. About Sarah in danger. About 3 months of running that had gotten me nowhere except more afraid. I thought about how Nikolai had made Michael run with just his voice. How safe I'd felt sleeping in his house. How something in me came alive when he looked at me. This was a precipice. Once I stepped over, there was no going back. Okay, I whispered. I'll stay. I'll trust you. Just please keep Sarah safe. Nikolai's eyes flashed with something fierce and possessive. You have my word. He stood, pulling me up with him. And for a moment we stood close enough that I could feel the heat of him. No one will touch you or anyone you care about. I promise you this, Emily Dawson. On my life. Then his phone rang, shattering the moment. He answered in Russian, listened, and his expression went cold in a way that made my stomach drop. What? I asked when he hung up. What's wrong? Michael isn't working alone anymore, Nikolai said quietly. He just contacted the Volkov family. They're my rivals. He's offering them information about my movements in exchange for help getting to you. Why would they care about me? Because you're in my home, under my protection, which makes you leverage. His jaw tightened. Michael just turned this from a personal problem into a professional war. The weight of that settled over me like ice. I've put you in danger, I whispered. I should leave. I should. You should do nothing except stay exactly where I can protect you. Nikolai's voice was firm. This changes the game but not the outcome. Michael made the mistake of involving my world in this. Now he'll learn why that was inadvisable. People are going to get hurt because of me. People were going to get hurt the moment Michael decided he owned you. Nikolai cupped my face gently, forcing me to meet his eyes. This is not your fault. None of it. Michael chose violence. The Volkovs chose opportunism. You chose only to survive. Don't carry guilt for other people's sins. A tear slipped down my cheek before I could stop it. He wiped it away with his thumb. His touch impossibly gentle for a man who'd just been talking about war. I'm scared, I admitted. Good. Fear keeps you careful. He leaned closer and I could feel his breath on my skin. But I need you to hear me, Emily. I have spent 3 years building an empire specifically so I would never be powerless again. So no one could take from me what matters. Michael threatened what's mine. The Volkovs are challenging my territory. They will both learn this was a mistake. I'm not yours, I whispered, but there was no conviction in it. His smile was slow and dangerous and made heat pool in my stomach. Not yet, he agreed. But you're under my protection. In my home. Trusting me with your life. That's close enough for now. Then he stepped back, the professional mask sliding into place. Katya will show you the safe room. If anything happens, you go there immediately. No hesitation, no questions. Understood. Understood. Good. He moved toward the door, then paused. Sarah will be here within the hour. You can explain everything to her together. In the meantime, stay in the house. My men are doubling perimeter security. He left, already pulling out his phone, switching back to Russian. His voice hard with command. I stood in his office, surrounded by books and wealth and evidence of a life I couldn't begin to understand, and realized what I'd just done. I'd agreed to stay in a mobster's house. To let him wage war on my behalf. To trust a dangerous man I'd known for less than 24 hours. And the terrifying part wasn't that I'd agreed. It was that some part of me wanted to. Some part of me craved the way he looked at me like I was precious. The way he touched me like I might break. The way he'd promised to keep me safe like it was the most important vow he'd ever make. I'd run from Michael's obsession straight into something that felt dangerously close to Nikolai's. The difference was, Nikolai's obsession felt like safety instead of prison. At least, that's what I told myself as I heard him in the hallway, giving orders in that cold, commanding voice that somehow made me feel protected instead of afraid. Made my choice. Now I just had to survive the consequences. Sarah arrived in a black SUV with tinted windows, escorted by 2 of Nikolai's men who looked like they could stop bullets with their bare hands. She burst through the front door like a hurricane, spotted me in the entrance hall, and crossed the distance in 3 seconds flat. What the actual hell, Emily? She grabbed my shoulders, her eyes scanning me for injuries. Russian bodyguards. Threats from Michael. You're hiding in some crime lord's mansion. Start talking. Now. I can explain. You better explain, because I just got pulled out of my morning coffee run by 2 men the size of refrigerators who told me my life was in danger because of your ex-boyfriend. Her voice was rising. Michael. The same Michael I told you to leave 6 months ago. That Michael. Sarah, please just. Miss Brennan. Nikolai's voice cut through the tension like a knife. He'd appeared at the top of the stairs, descending with that predatory grace. I apologize for the dramatic extraction. But the threat to your safety was immediate and credible. Sarah turned to face him, and I watched her eyes widen slightly, because that was the effect Nikolai had. He walked into a room and the air itself paid attention. "You must be the mysterious benefactor," Sarah said, recovering quickly. She'd always been braver than me. "Nikolai, I'm guessing." "Correct." He reached the bottom of the stairs and extended his hand. "Nikolai Morozov, Emily is under my protection. As of this morning, so are you." Sarah shook his hand, her journalist instincts clearly activating. "Morozov, that's a Russian name. What exactly do you do, Mr. Morozov?" "I manage business interests that occasionally attract unwanted attention." His smile was polite and revealed absolutely nothing. "Currently, Michael Hartley has become unwanted attention. For both of you." "He sent a picture of me to Emily's phone," Sarah said flatly. "With a threat?" "Yes. Which is why you're here." Nikolai gestured toward the sitting room. "Perhaps we should discuss this somewhere more comfortable." 5 minutes later, we were seated in a room that looked like it belonged in a palace. Sarah sat next to me on an antique sofa, her hand gripping mine, while Nikolai took a chair across from us. Katya appeared with tea and pastries, gave me an encouraging smile and disappeared again. "Okay," Sarah said, turning to me. "Explain. Everything. Starting with how you ended up here." So I told her. The broken door. Running to the restaurant. Hiding under Nikolai's table. His offer of protection. Michael's escalation. All of it. Sarah listened in silence, her expression growing darker with every sentence. "That psychotic bastard," she breathed when I finished. Why didn't you call me?" "I would have been in danger just like you are now," I interrupted. "I was trying to keep you out of it." "Well, that worked great," Sarah muttered. Then she looked at Nikolai. "So what's the plan? How do we stop Michael?" "We remove his ability to threaten you," Nikolai said simply. "I have people monitoring his movements. He can't approach either of you without my knowledge." "For how long?" "We can't hide here forever." "No. But you can stay here until Michael is no longer a problem." Something cold flickered in Nikolai's eyes. "Which will be soon." Sarah and I exchanged glances. She'd caught the same thing I had. The implication beneath his words. "Define no longer a problem," Sarah said carefully. "He'll be given a choice. Leave the city and never contact Emily again. Or face consequences he won't enjoy." "You're talking about threatening him." "I'm talking about ensuring he understands the cost of continued harassment exceeds any possible benefit." Nikolai leaned forward. "Miss Brennan, I understand your concern. But men like Michael respond to only one language. Superior force. Reasoning with him is what Emily tried for 3 months. It didn't work." Sarah looked at me. You're okay with this?" Was I? 24 hours ago I would have said no. Would have insisted on restraining orders and police intervention and doing things the legal way. But I tried the legal way. Michael had violated 2 restraining orders. The police couldn't do anything until he actually hurt me. And by then it would be too late. "I'm tired of being afraid," I said quietly. "And I'm tired of him winning." Sarah's expression softened. She squeezed my hand. "Okay. Then I'm staying too. You're not doing this alone." "Sarah, you don't have to. You're my best friend. Where you go, I go." End of discussion. She turned to Nikolai. "I assume you have room for one more." His lips quirked. "I have 14 bedrooms. I think we can accommodate you." Something in his voice made me look at him sharply. Was that amusement? Relief? Good. Sarah sat back, crossing her arms. "Now tell me the real story. Who are you really, Nikolai Morozov? And what does Emily's presence in your home actually mean?" For a moment, I thought Nikolai wouldn't answer. Then he surprised me. 3 years ago, my wife was killed because I wasn't there to protect her. I've spent every day since building the means to ensure I'm never that powerless again. His eyes found mine. Last night I had the chance to protect someone. Took it. What it means is still being determined. The honesty in that statement made my breath catch. Sarah looked between us, and I watched understanding dawn on her face. "Oh," she said softly. "Oh, this is complicated." "Yes," Nikolai agreed. "But uncomplicated situations rarely matter." Before anyone could respond, one of Nikolai's men appeared in the doorway. He said something in rapid Russian. Nikolai's expression hardened. "Excuse me," he said, standing. "A situation requires my attention." He left, and Sarah immediately turned to me. "He's gorgeous, clearly powerful, and looking at you like you're the only person in the room. But he's also obviously dangerous. Are you sure about this?" "I'm not sure about anything," I admitted. "Except that when I'm near him, I feel safe for the first time in months. Maybe that's stupid. Maybe I'm trading one cage for another. But at least this cage has someone who looks at me like I matter instead of like I'm property." Sarah's eyes filled with concern. "You're falling for him. I barely know him." "That's not a no." I didn't have an answer for that because she was right. Something was happening between Nikolai and me. Something that felt inevitable and terrifying and necessary all at once. "Just be careful," Sarah said quietly. "Men who save you can also trap you. Sometimes it's hard to tell the difference until it's too late." Her words echoed in my mind over the next 3 days. Because Nikolai's protection turned out to be thorough, comprehensive, and suffocating in its completeness. Guards rotated shifts outside the house. Cameras monitored every entrance. No one came or went without Nikolai's explicit approval. Sarah and I were safe, yes. But we were also prisoners, even if the prison was beautiful. Nikolai himself was often gone. "Handling Michael," he said. "Managing the situation with the Volkovs." But he always returned in the evenings, and we'd have dinner together. The 3 of us at first, then just Nikolai and me after Sarah claimed exhaustion and disappeared to her room with a knowing smile. Those dinners became the center of my day. We talked about everything. His childhood in Russia, brutal and poor. My childhood in foster care, lonely and uncertain. His late wife, Anna, who'd been his first love and only soft place. My dreams of opening my own bakery someday, of creating something warm and safe. He asked questions like my answers mattered, listened like my words were precious. And slowly, carefully, I felt myself opening to him in ways I hadn't opened to anyone. On the 4th night, he found me in the library at midnight. I couldn't sleep, haunted by dreams of Michael breaking through the walls. "Emily!" Nikolai's voice came from the doorway. He wore dark slacks and a white shirt, unbuttoned at the collar, sleeves rolled up. Casual and devastating. "You should be sleeping." "Couldn't." I curled deeper into the window seat where I'd been watching the grounds. Too many thoughts. He crossed the room and settled beside me, close enough that I could feel his warmth. "What thoughts?" "That I'm hiding while you fight my battles. That Sarah's life is disrupted because of my mistakes. That Michael is still out there, waiting." I looked at him. "That I don't know if I can ever really be free of him." "You can. You will." Nikolai's hand found mine in the darkness. "I promise you this." "You can't promise that. He's obsessed. He won't stop." "Then I'll make him stop." His voice was quiet steel. "Emily, I need you to understand something. I've done terrible things in my life. Things that would horrify you if you knew. But everything I do now, every move I make regarding Michael, I do with surgical precision. He will not hurt you. I won't allow it." "Why?" The question burst out of me. "Why does it matter so much to you? I'm just some random woman you met 4 days ago." His eyes found mine in the moonlight, and what I saw there made my heart stutter. "You stopped being random the moment you trusted me enough to hide at my table," he said quietly. "You stopped being just some woman the moment I saw your fear and recognized it. And you became something dangerously important to me the moment you smiled at me over dinner, and I realized I'd been waiting 3 years to feel something again." "Nikolai, I know this is fast. I know it's complicated. I know I have no right to feel this way about someone I've known for days. His thumb traced circles on my palm. But I've lived long enough to know that some connections don't follow timelines. Some people just fit. We don't fit, I whispered, but there was no conviction in it. You're this powerful, dangerous man and I'm just a woman brave enough to survive an abusive relationship, smart enough to run when it mattered, and strong enough to trust a stranger when you had every reason not to. His free hand came up to cup my face. You're not just anything, Emily. You're extraordinary. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think, could only feel the warmth of his hand on my cheek, the intensity of his gaze, the pull between us that had been building since the moment we met. This is crazy, I managed. Yes, he agreed. We barely know each other. Also yes. You're probably a criminal. His smile was wry. Definitely yes. Then why does this feel right? Because sometimes the world makes sense in ways logic can't explain. He leaned closer and I could feel his breath on my lips. Tell me to stop, Emily. Tell me this is too fast, too much, too complicated. Tell me no and I'll walk away. I'll still protect you, still keep you safe. But I'll keep my distance. I should have said no. Should have put up boundaries. Should have protected my heart from another man who could break it. But Nikolai wasn't Michael. Michael had made me small. Nikolai made me feel seen. Michael had controlled through fear. Nikolai protected through choice. Michael had taken. Nikolai offered. Don't stop, I whispered. He kissed me. It was gentle at first, questioning, giving me space to pull back. But when I leaned into him instead, something broke loose in both of us. His hand tangled in my hair. Mine fisted in his shirt. The kiss deepened. 3 years of his loneliness meeting 3 months of my fear and creating something desperate and necessary. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, he rested his forehead against mine. This complicates things, he murmured. Everything about this situation is already complicated. True. His smile was soft, real, the first genuinely unguarded expression I'd seen from him. But this kind of complication I don't mind. We stayed like that for a long moment, wrapped in each other, the world outside forgotten. Then his phone buzzed. He pulled it out, glanced at the screen, and went absolutely still. What? I asked, fear spiking through the warm haze. What's wrong? Michael. Nikolai's voice was cold again, the softness gone. He just tried to break into my downtown office. My men intercepted him, but he was armed, Emily. With a gun. Ice flooded my veins. Oh God. He's escalating faster than anticipated. Nikolai stood, pulling me up with him. The Volkovs are pushing him, feeding his obsession. This is becoming unstable. What do we do? You stay here. Under guard. I'm going to end this tonight. His eyes were hard. No more warnings. No more chances. Michael made his choice. Nikolai, what are you going to do? He cupped my face, kissed me once more, hard and possessive. What I should have done 3 days ago. I'm going to make sure he can never threaten you again. Then he was gone, striding out of the library, already barking orders in Russian. I stood there, my lips still tingling from his kiss, my heart racing with fear and something that felt dangerously like love, and wondered what I'd unleashed. I found Sarah in her room, pacing. Did you hear? She asked the moment I walked in. About Michael. Yes. This is getting out of control. Maybe we should just go to the police. Let them handle it. The police can't do anything until he actually hurts me. And by then it might be too late. So we let Nikolai do. What? Beat him up. Kill him. Sarah's eyes were wide. Listen to yourself. You're talking about letting a mobster commit violence on your behalf. I'm talking about surviving. The words burst out of me. I'm talking about not spending the rest of my life looking over my shoulder, jumping at shadows, waiting for Michael to finally finish what he started. I'm tired, Sarah. I'm so tired of being afraid. Sarah's expression softened. She pulled me into a hug. I know. I know you are. I just don't want you trading one nightmare for another. Nikolai isn't a nightmare. Are you sure about that? Or are you just so desperate for someone to make you feel safe that you can't see the danger in him? The question hit too close to home. Before I could answer, Katya appeared in the doorway, her face pale. Girls, come with me. Now. Something in her tone made us both move immediately. She led us down the hall, down a set of stairs I hadn't noticed before, to a reinforced door. Inside, she commanded. The safe room. Why? What's happening? The Volkovs. They're coming here. Nikolai thinks Michael told them about the house layout before he was intercepted. Katya pushed us inside a room lined with supplies, monitors, reinforced walls. You stay here until Nikolai or I come for you. No one else. Understand? How did Michael know the house layout? Sarah demanded. Katya's expression turned grim. That's what Nikolai is trying to determine. She closed the door and we heard locks engaging. Sarah and I stared at each other in the sudden silence. This is insane, Sarah whispered. I know. We're trapped in a panic room while mobsters wage war over you. I know. And you kissed him, didn't you? Nikolai. I can see it on your face. Despite everything, I felt heat rise to my cheeks. Yes, Sarah sighed. What are we going to do? Survive. Like always. We sat on the reinforced bench, and Sarah took my hand. The minutes crawled past. 10, 20, 30. Then we heard it. Gunfire. Distant but unmistakable. Sarah's hand tightened on mine. Oh God! More gunfire. Shouting in Russian. Something that sounded like an explosion. I thought of Nikolai out there fighting because of me. Possibly dying because of me. He'll be okay, Sarah said, reading my mind. He's clearly survived worse. I wanted to believe that. Needed to believe that. The monitors in the room showed different angles of the property. I watched men in dark clothes engaging with intruders. Watched muzzle flashes in the darkness. Watched Nikolai himself, moving like death incarnate, taking down men twice his size with brutal efficiency. He was terrifying and magnificent and I couldn't look away. Then the monitors went dark. What happened? Sarah's voice was tight with panic. I don't know. Maybe they cut the power. We sat in the darkness, the only light coming from emergency strips along the floor. More gunfire. Closer now. Then silence. Horrible, complete silence. We waited. My heart hammered so hard I felt sick. Finally, footsteps outside the door. The locks disengaging. Stay behind me, I told Sarah, positioning myself between her and the door. Opened. Nikolai stood there, blood on his shirt, a cut on his cheek, but alive. Oh. Relief hit me so hard my knees went weak. It's over, he said. They're gone. I crossed the distance and threw my arms around him, not caring about the blood, needing to feel that he was real and safe. His arms came around me immediately, holding me tight. You're okay, I breathed against his chest. You're okay. I'm okay. His voice was soft in my hair. You're safe. That's all that matters. Sarah cleared her throat behind us. So, what happened? Nikolai pulled back slightly, but kept one arm around me. The Volkovs sent a team to test our defenses. They won't make that mistake again. His expression was cold. I made sure they understood the cost of targeting what's mine. There was that word again. This time I didn't argue. And Michael? Yes. In custody. My custody. Nikolai's jaw tightened. He gave the Volkovs information about this house in exchange for their help getting to you. That ends now. What are you going to do with him? Nikolai's eyes met mine, and I saw the question there. The choice he was giving me. What do you want me to do with him? It was the first time anyone had ever asked me that. What I wanted. What I needed. Not what the law required or what was right or what was merciful. What would make me feel safe. I want him gone, I said quietly. I want to never have to think about him again. I want him to disappear from my life so completely it's like he never existed. Nikolai nodded slowly. Then that's what will happen. Without killing him, I added. I don't want his blood on my conscience. But I want him scared enough that he never comes back. Something like approval flickered in Nikolai's eyes. I can work with that. He kissed my forehead gently. Go upstairs. Get cleaned up. This is over. Sarah and I headed for the stairs, but I looked back once. Nikolai was on his phone, speaking in Russian. His voice cold and commanding. The man who'd kissed me gently in the library was gone. This was the other Nikolai. The dangerous one. The one who'd built an empire through violence and will. And he was using all that power to protect me. Sarah leaned close as we climbed the stairs. I hope you know what you're doing. I don't, I admitted. But for the first time in months, I'm not afraid. We reached the main floor, exhausted and wrung out. Katya met us with warm towels and tea, fussing over us like a mother hen. Nikolai asked her. He handles business. Then he'll come to you. She smiled knowingly. He always comes back to what matters. Sarah and I returned to our rooms. I showered, washing away the fear, sweat and terror, and changed into clean clothes. Then I waited. An hour passed. Finally, a soft knock on my door. Nikolai stood there, cleaned up, the blood gone, wearing fresh clothes. It's done, he said simply. Michael is on a plane to Seattle with new employment and a very clear understanding of what happens if he ever returns or contacts you. He won't be back. How can you be sure? Because I made him more afraid of me than obsessed with you. Trust me, Emily. It's done. The relief was so overwhelming I started crying. Nikolai crossed the room immediately, pulling me into his arms. Hey, it's over. You're safe now. I know. I couldn't get the words out past the tears. I've been running for so long. I don't know how to stop. Then don't stop. Just change direction. He pulled back to look at me. Stay here. With me. Not because you're in danger, but because you want to. Nikolai. I know it's fast. I know it's insane. But I told you in the library. Some connections don't follow timelines. His thumb wiped away my tears. I'm not Michael, Emily. I won't cage you or control you or make you small. But I will fight for you, protect you, worship you if you let me. All I'm asking is that you give us a real chance. I looked at him, this dangerous, beautiful man who'd saved me and opened his home and waged war to keep me safe. I thought about Sarah's warning, about the danger of trading one cage for another. But when I looked in Nikolai's eyes, I didn't see Michael's obsession. I saw possibility. Okay, I whispered. Okay, I'll stay. We'll try. His smile was like sunrise. He kissed me again, slower this time, sweeter, full of promise. When we broke apart, I was smiling through my tears. Get some sleep, he murmured. Tomorrow we start fresh. No more running. No more fear. Just us figuring this out. He left, and I climbed into bed feeling lighter than I had in months. Michael was gone. I was safe. And Nikolai wanted me to stay. Everything was going to be okay. I fell asleep with that thought cradling me like a promise. I didn't know that in 3 hours, everything would shatter. I didn't know that the man I was starting to trust had been keeping the most devastating secret of all. And I didn't know that Michael wasn't the real threat. That honor belonged to someone much, much closer. I woke to screaming. Sarah's voice, shrill with terror, coming from somewhere downstairs. I was out of bed and running before my brain fully caught up, my heart already hammering, adrenaline flooding my system. The hallway was chaos. Guards running, shouting in Russian. Katya emerging from her room, her face pale. Stay back, she commanded, but I was already at the top of the stairs. Below, in the entrance hall, Sarah stood frozen. 3 men surrounded her. Not Nikolai's men. Strangers. One had a gun pressed to her temple. Emily! Sarah's voice broke. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, I just went down for water and they were already inside. Quiet. The man with the gun was older, maybe 50, with cold eyes and a cruel mouth. He looked up at me and smiled. There she is. The girl who started a war. Nikolai appeared from the side hallway, flanked by 2 of his men. He was already dressed despite the early hour, and something about his lack of surprise made my stomach drop. Volkov. Nikolai's voice was ice. Breaking into my home. Threatening guests under my protection. Bold moves for a dead man. Bold moves for a man with leverage. Volkov pressed the gun harder against Sarah's head, making her whimper. Call off your dogs, Morozov. We need to talk. All of us. Nikolai's eyes flicked to me, then back to Volkov. Some silent calculation happening behind that cold gaze. Let the blonde go. Emily and I will hear what you have to say. No deal. I keep my insurance until I'm safely out of here. Volkov gestured with his free hand. Living room. Your men stay here. We moved like pieces on a chessboard. Sarah with a gun to her head. Volkov's 2 other men flanking her. Nikolai and me walking ahead into the living room where we'd had tea just yesterday. Felt like a lifetime ago. Sit, Volkov commanded. Nikolai sat on the sofa, his posture relaxed, but I could see the tension in his shoulders. I sat next to him, and his hand immediately found mine. Grounding, reassuring, or possessive. I was starting to lose track of which. Volkov pushed Sarah into a chair across from us, keeping the gun trained on her. Do you know why I'm here, Emily? Volkov asked conversationally. Because you're a psychopath who breaks into people's homes? His smile widened. Because you're valuable. Not for who you are, but for what you represent. I don't represent anything. Oh, but you do. You represent Nikolai Morozov's weakness. His first emotional attachment in 3 years. The crack in his armor. Volkov's eyes gleamed. Do you have any idea what that's worth in our world? Cold dread seeped into my bones. You used Michael, I said slowly, understanding dawning. The escalation. The threats. You pushed him to be more aggressive. You gave him information about Nikolai's office. About this house. You wanted me to need protection so Nikolai would. So Nikolai would do exactly what he did. Take you in. Make you matter to him. Give me the leverage I needed. Volkov looked at Nikolai. You've been untouchable for 3 years, Morozov. No family. No lovers. No weaknesses. You were impossible to move against. Until her. Nikolai's hand tightened on mine. You miscalculated. Emily's presence doesn't make me weak. It makes me motivated. Does it? Even knowing what it cost. Something flickered in Nikolai's expression. What are you talking about? Volkov's smile was cruel. You really don't know. Oh, this is delicious. He pulled out his phone, tapped something and turned it toward us. The screen showed security footage. The timestamp was from 3 hours ago. I watched Nikolai's downtown office. Watched a man I recognized as one of Nikolai's guards opening a side door. Watched him let in 3 armed men. Watched them plant something in Nikolai's private office. Your man Pavel has been on my payroll for 6 months, Volkov said. Waiting for the right opportunity. Emily provided that opportunity. While you were busy playing hero, protecting your new pet, my people were planting enough evidence in your office to bury you. Financial records. Communication logs. Everything the FBI needs to freeze your assets and indict you on racketeering charges. The air left my lungs. You're lying, Nikolai said, but his voice had lost some of its certainty. Am I? Check your phone. I believe the FBI raided your office about an hour ago. Nikolai pulled out his phone. His face went absolutely still. 47 missed calls, he said quietly. From my lawyer. God. This is because of me, I whispered. You got distracted by protecting me, and they would have moved eventually regardless, Nikolai interrupted, but I could hear the lie in it. No. I stood, pulling my hand from his. He's right. I made you vulnerable. You were focused on Michael, on keeping me safe, and you missed the real threat. This is my fault. Emily, sit down. Your entire empire is being dismantled because you took in a stranger. My voice was rising, hysteria creeping in. Because I hid under your table and you decided to save me, and now you're going to lose everything. I said sit down. Nikolai's voice cracked like a whip. Sep. More from shock than obedience. Volkov was grinning like this was the best entertainment he'd had in years. But wait, he said. There's more. He pulled out a folder from inside his jacket and tossed it onto the coffee table. Open it, he told me. Learn who you've really been trusting. Don't, Nikolai said quietly. Emily, don't open that. The desperation in his voice made my hand freeze halfway to the folder. Why not? Yes. What's in it? Selective truths designed to manipulate you. So there are truths in it. About you. My heart was pounding. What don't I know, Nikolai? He was silent. Sarah spoke up from her chair, her voice shaking. Maybe just open it. If he's hiding something, you deserve to know. Picked up the folder. Nikolai's jaw tightened, but he didn't try to stop me. Inside were photographs, documents, news articles in Russian with English translations attached. The first photo showed Nikolai, younger, maybe mid-20s, standing next to a beautiful woman with dark hair. Anna, presumably. They looked happy, in love. The second photo showed the same woman. Beaten so badly I almost didn't recognize her. I made a sound of horror. His wife, Volkov provided helpfully. Anna Morozova, beaten to death 3 years ago. Tragic story. Really? I know about Anna, I said, my voice unsteady. He told me. Did he tell you who killed her? I looked at Nikolai. His face was a mask, but his eyes were haunted. Rival family, I said, repeating what he'd told me. He wasn't there. He couldn't save her. Half true, Volkov said. He wasn't there. But it wasn't a rival family. He tapped another document. I read it, my hands shaking. Police report. Anna Morozova found dead in her home. Evidence of sustained abuse over months. Neighbors reported hearing fights. Seeing her with bruises. Suspected perpetrator. Nikolai Morozov. Case closed due to insufficient evidence and witness intimidation. The folder slipped from my numb fingers. No, I whispered. No, that's not possible. He has a pattern, Volkov continued remorselessly. Charming. Protective at first. Then possessive. Then violent when things don't go his way. Anna tried to leave him. Just like you tried to leave Michael. She died for it. That's a lie. Nikolai's voice was deadly quiet. I never laid a hand on Anna. Ever. The bruises on her body suggest otherwise. The bruises were from the men who killed her while I was away on business. Your men, Volkov. You ordered the hit because she knew too much about your trafficking operation. So you say. But the police report tells a different story. Volkov looked at me. Emily, you ran from one abuser straight into the arms of another. Only this one is smarter. More patient. He hasn't hurt you yet because he's still earning your trust. But give it time. Give it until you try to leave. I felt like I was drowning. The room was spinning. Emily. Nikolai reached for my hand. Look at me. You know me. You know I would never. I jerked away from his touch. I've known you for 4 days. I don't know anything. Pain flickered across his face. You know I protected you. Kept you safe. Treated you with nothing but respect. So did Michael. For the first 3 months. The parallel hung in the air between us like poison. This is exactly what he wants, Nikolai said, gesturing at Volkov. He's manipulating you. Turning you against me when I'm the only thing standing between you and what? Him. Michael. I laughed, but it came out broken. Maybe I don't need anyone standing between me and danger. Maybe I need to stop hiding behind men and save myself for once. Emily. Was any of it real? I asked, hating how my voice cracked. Or was Sarah right? Was I just so desperate to feel safe that I couldn't see I was trading one nightmare for another? Before Nikolai could answer, his phone rang. He glanced at it, and his face went white. I need to take this, he said. By all means, Volkov said magnanimously. Answer it. Nikolai answered, listened, and I watched whatever color remained in his face drain completely. When? He asked. Was. How bad? Another pause. I'm on my way. He stood, and for the first time since I'd met him, Nikolai Morozov looked shaken. Katya's been shot, he said. Someone broke into the East Wing. She confronted them. She's alive but critical. They're taking her to the hospital now. Horror crashed over me. Katya. Kind, gentle Katya who'd taken care of me like I mattered. Who? Managed. We don't know yet. Nikolai looked at Volkov. This conversation isn't over. But I need to. Go, Volkov said. I've made my point. Emily knows the truth now. What she does with it is her choice. He stood, gesturing to his men. We'll see ourselves out. If Katya dies, Nikolai started. You'll what? You're about to be indicted, Morozov. Your assets are frozen. Your empire is crumbling. You're in no position to threaten anyone. Volkov smiled. Enjoy the fall. He left, taking his men with him. Taking the gun away from Sarah's head. Sarah ran to me immediately, pulling me into a hug. Are you okay? No, I said numbly. No, I'm really not. Nikolai was barking orders in Russian, coordinating security, preparing to leave for the hospital. But he stopped and looked at me. I have to go to Katya. But Emily, we need to talk about what Volkov said. None of it. Just go, I interrupted. Katya needs you. I need you to believe me. I never hurt Anna. I would never hurt you. I don't know what to believe anymore. I wrapped my arms around myself. 4 days ago, I thought Michael would never really hurt me either. I'm clearly not a good judge of character. Something broke in his expression. When I get back, he said quietly, we'll talk. Really talk. I'll tell you everything about Anna. About my past. Everything you want to know. But right now, I need to make sure Katya survives. He left, taking most of his men with him. Sarah and I stood in the sudden silence of the living room. We need to leave, Sarah said immediately. This is insane. The FBI is coming. Volkov was here. Someone shot Katya. This whole place is a war zone. Where would we go? Anywhere. My apartment. Hotel. Out of the city. She grabbed my shoulders. You can't stay here. Not after what we just learned. We don't know if it's true. The police report could have been fabricated. Volkov could be lying. Or Nikolai could be lying. Sarah's eyes were desperate. Listen to yourself. You're defending a man you've known for 4 days against evidence that he killed his wife. This is exactly what abuse victims do. They rationalize. They excuse. I know. The words exploded out of me. I know, okay? I know this looks bad. I know I'm probably being an idiot. But when I'm with Nikolai, I don't feel afraid. Feel seen. And I don't know if that's real or if I'm so broken that I can't tell the difference anymore. Tears were streaming down my face. Sarah pulled me into another hug, and I sobbed against her shoulder. I don't know what's real, I whispered. Michael made me doubt myself so much that I don't trust my own judgment anymore. And now Nikolai is either my savior or my next abuser, and I can't tell which. Then we leave, Sarah said firmly. We get out of here. Go somewhere safe. Figure it out from a distance without all this chaos. She was right. I knew she was right. But the thought of leaving, of walking away from Nikolai, felt like tearing out part of myself. Which was exactly how I'd felt about Michael in the beginning. God. One of Nikolai's remaining guards appeared in the doorway. Young guy, maybe 25. He looked nervous. Miss Dawson. I need to ask you something. What? Did you go into the East Wing tonight? Into the Blue Room? No. I was asleep until Sarah screamed. Why? He exchanged glances with another guard. Because whoever shot Katya went straight to your room. They were looking for something. Or someone. Ice ran down my spine. What are you saying? I'm saying the break-in was targeted. Someone wanted access to you specifically. Katya must have interrupted them. Sarah's hand found mine and squeezed tight. Volkov. Yes. Volkov was here when it happened. He has an alibi. The guard shifted uncomfortably. We're trying to figure out who else would want to. His phone buzzed. He answered, listened, and his face went pale. Understood. Yes, sir. He hung up and looked at me with something like pity. That was Nikolai. He says to tell you Michael wasn't on the plane to Seattle. The room tilted. What? Michael Hartley. He never boarded. He's been missing for 3 hours. We don't know where he is. Everything Nikolai had promised. Everything he'd assured me was handled. Michael was gone. I was safe. It was over. All lies. Or all failures. I didn't know which was worse. He's here, I heard myself say. Michael is here. He shot Katya trying to get to me. We don't know that. I know it. My voice was rising toward hysteria. This is exactly what Michael does. He waits. He plans. He comes back when you think you're safe. Oh God, Katya could die because of me. Nikolai's losing everything because of me. This is all my fault. Emily, breathe. Sarah was in front of me, hands on my face. Listen to me. None of this is your fault. Not Michael. Not Volkov. Not any of it. Then whose fault is it? Because people keep getting hurt and the common denominator is me. The sound from the hallway. The step. All 3 guards immediately drew weapons, positioning themselves between us and the door. The footsteps got closer. A figure appeared in the doorway. Michael. He looked terrible. Wild-eyed. Disheveled. And holding a gun. Hello, Emily, he said, his smile wide and wrong. Did you miss me? Sarah screamed. The guards shouted commands. Michael raised the gun. And I realized with horrible clarity that Nikolai had been wrong. You couldn't solve obsession with threats or fear or superior force. Because obsession didn't respond to logic. It only responded to possession or death. And Michael had clearly decided which one he wanted. 4 days, Michael said, his voice eerily calm. You've been playing house with that Russian bastard for 4 days while I've been going insane. Do you have any idea what you put me through? Michael put down the gun. My voice was surprisingly steady. This doesn't have to end badly. You're right. It doesn't. His smile widened. It ends with you coming home with me. Where you belong. Where you've always belonged. The guards were flanking him now, weapons trained. Lower your weapon, one commanded. Now. Michael didn't even look at them. His eyes were locked on me. Tell them to back off, Emily. Or I start shooting. Maybe I start with your blonde friend here. He swung the gun toward Sarah. No. I stepped forward, hands raised. Don't. Please. I'll talk to you. Just don't hurt anyone else. Emily, no, Sarah hissed. But I was already moving toward Michael, slowly, carefully. That's my girl, Michael said approvingly. See. You remember how this works. You do what I say, and no one gets hurt. I was 3 feet away now. Close enough to see the manic gleam in his eyes. Close enough to smell the alcohol on his breath. I've been planning this for weeks, Michael said, almost conversationally. The Russian thought he was so smart sending me away. But I got off that plane in the next city. Came right back. Because you're mine, Emily. You'll always be mine. Okay, I said softly. Okay, I'm yours. So let's just go. You and me. We leave right now, and this is over. Hope flared in his eyes. God, he actually believed me. Really? Really? I held out my hand. Come on. Let's go home. He reached for my hand. And I grabbed his wrist, twisted it exactly like the self-defense class I'd taken had taught me, and screamed, "Now!" The guards moved. Michael's gun went off. Pain exploded in my shoulder, white-hot and devastating. I went down hard, the world spinning. More gunshots, shouting, Sarah screaming my name. Then Nikolai's voice roaring with rage. "Get her to the car! Now!" Strong hands lifting me. The world tilting. Pain like I'd never felt. I caught a glimpse of Michael on the floor, not moving, blood pooling beneath him. Dead or unconscious, I couldn't tell. Then I was in a car, Nikolai's face above me, his hands pressing against my shoulder. "Stay with me," he was saying. "Emily, stay with me. You're going to be fine. You're going to be fine." But his face was white with terror, and I could feel blood soaking through my shirt. "Katya," I managed. "Is she? She's in surgery. She'll make it. You'll both make it." His hands were shaking. "You have to make it. Emily, please. Can't lose someone else. Not like this. Not you." The desperation in his voice should have reassured me. Instead, all I could think about was Anna. Had he held her like this while she bled? Begged her to stay with him? Made promises he couldn't keep? Was I just repeating her story? "I don't know if I can trust you," I whispered. Pain flickered across his face, worse than any physical wound. "I know. But trust this. I will not let you die. I will burn the world down before I let you die." The world was going dark at the edges. "That's what I'm afraid of," I managed. Then everything went black. I woke to the smell of antiseptic and the sound of machines beeping. Hospital. I was in a hospital. My shoulder throbbed with a deep, bone-aching pain, but I was alive. "You're awake." Nikolai's voice, rough with exhaustion. I turned my head to find him sitting beside my bed, still in the blood-stained shirt from last night. Or this morning. I had no idea how much time had passed. "Katya?" asked, my throat dry. "Alive. Recovering 2 floors up." Relief flooded his face. The bullet missed anything vital. "She'll be okay." "Michael." His expression hardened. "Dead. He was shot by my security when he fired at you." I should have felt something. Grief, guilt, relief. But all I felt was empty. "So it's finally over," I whispered. "Yes." Nikolai leaned forward, his hand hovering near mine but not quite touching, like he wasn't sure he had the right anymore. "Emily, about what Volkov said. About Anna. I need you to hear the truth. I don't know if I can trust whatever you tell me." "I know." He pulled out his phone, tapped something and turned it toward me. "So I won't tell you. I'll show you." On the screen was a video. Security footage, the timestamp from 3 years ago. I watched a younger Nikolai leave a house. Watched him get into a car and drive away. Watched 3 men approach the house 30 minutes later. Volkov was one of them. Watched them break in. "I protect this family. You are family now." Katya looked pointedly at Nikolai. "She stays, yes. If she wants to," Nikolai said. "I want to," I confirmed. Sarah looked between us, worry written on her face. Are you sure? After everything?" "No. But I'm sure enough to try." I squeezed her hand. "And I need you to be okay with that. You're my best friend. Your opinion matters." Sarah studied Nikolai for a long moment. "If you hurt her, you'll have my permission to kill me yourself," Nikolai finished. "I'll even provide the weapon." Despite everything, Sarah laughed. "I think I'm starting to understand why she likes you." She looked at me. "Okay, we'll try this. But I'm staying close. Someone needs to keep you both sane." "You'll stay here?" asked hopefully. "In the estate?" "Are you kidding? That place has a library the size of my apartment and a chef who makes these little pastry things that are basically heaven. I'm never leaving." He grinned. "Plus, someone needs to document this insanity for the memoir you're definitely writing someday." Nikolai's phone buzzed. He glanced at it and smiled. "My lawyer. The charges are being dropped. The prosecutor found significant evidence of tampering." What about Volkov? Yes. Arrested an hour ago. Turns out when you threaten a federal witness and plant evidence in an FBI investigation, they take that personally. His smile was satisfied. He'll be away for a very long time. Relief washed over me. So it's really over. All of it. All of it, Nikolai confirmed. He stood, leaning down to kiss my forehead. Rest. Ill. When you're ready, we'll go home. Home, I repeated, testing the word. It didn't feel like a cage. Felt like a choice. 3 weeks later, I stood in Nikolai's kitchen, flour on my hands, teaching him how to make the perfect croissant. You have to fold it exactly right, I instructed, demonstrating. See. Like this. He attempted it. Failed spectacularly. This is humiliating, he muttered. I've negotiated international deals. I speak 4 languages. I cannot defeat bread. I laughed, the sound easy and genuine. It takes practice. Try again. He did, this time under my careful guidance, my hands over his. Better, I said. He turned in my arms, backing me gently against the counter. You know what I'm actually very good at? What? This. He kissed me, slow and deep and perfect. We'd been taking things slower, just like I'd asked. Real dates, long conversations, therapy sessions for both of us. Building trust brick by brick instead of demanding it all at once. But moments like this, when he looked at me like I was his entire world, made the slow burn worth it. I love you, he said against my lips. My heart stopped. What? I love you, Emily Dawson. I know it's too soon. I know we're still figuring this out. But I've known since the moment you trusted me enough to hide at my table. And I'll wait however long it takes for you to believe it. Tears pricked my eyes. I'm not ready to say it back yet. I know. That's okay. But I think I'm getting there. I touched his face. Ask me again in a few months. His smile was brilliant. I'll ask you every day until you're ready. Sarah walked in, saw us, and immediately turned around. Nope. Still too much happiness. It's disgusting. I'll be in the library eating my feelings in pastry form. We laughed as she disappeared. Katya appeared next, moving slowly but healing well. Dinner in 1 hour. Don't burn my kitchen down with your romance. No promises, Nikolai called after her. When we were alone again, I looked up at him. This dangerous, beautiful man who'd saved me and let me save myself. Who'd given me space to heal and time to trust. Thank you, I said quietly. For what? For not being Michael. For being patient. For letting me find my own strength again. You always had that strength. I just gave you a safe place to remember it. I pulled him down for another kiss. This one full of promise and possibility and something that felt dangerously close to love. 4 days had changed my life. 4 weeks had changed my heart. And for the first time in longer than I could remember, I wasn't afraid of what came next. I was just ready to live it. Outside the window, the sun set over the estate gardens, painting everything gold. Inside, surrounded by the smell of baking bread and the warmth of Nikolai's arms, I finally felt something I'd thought I'd lost forever. Frozen. Not because a man gave it to me, but because I'd fought for it, survived for it, and finally believed I deserved it. The rest would come in time. For now, this was enough.